Hey everybody! Hope you're having a good evening. Happy Halloween. Hey Kim, how are you? Okay, so I'm just going to zoom this in a little bit, I think. And hopefully you'll be able to see what we're doing a little bit better that way. Happy Halloween Eve. Is that a thing? Do people do that? We are running around like crazy at our house. Neither of my kids are in bed. We were starting to carve pumpkins, but my 3-year-old decided not to do that. Then he wanted to bake ghost cookies, and he opted out of that. So he got both of his parents to do the difficult, hard stuff for him. Nice! And yeah, we were watching Mickey Mouse Trick or Treat as well as Hotel Transylvania tonight. So I got the kids in jammies, but neither are in bed. So they're hanging out with Daddy. So Daddy can get a taste of what it's like to be a single parent for a minute. So I am coming on to show you how to bring back bokeh. So there's a couple different ways to say it. Bokeh, bokeh. I say bokeh. I think it sounds better. I may have a little helper tonight, just FYI. He's going to be popping in and out, I bet. So, hey buddy. So I am going to show you how we can make this awesome Halloween card. So let me see if I can get you zoomed in even a little bit more. All right, so tonight, the supplies that you're going to need are, you're going to need at least 3 inks, possibly 4. So I used Willow Nectarine, mine isn't labeled. I used Lagoon and Black. And then the White Daisy is what we're going to use over top. And the pewter is what I used with some of my other stamping. Okay. Mommy? And then you're going to need some sponge daubers that are labeled for each of those colors. So I use a label maker, but you can also, if you're in a crunch, use some washi tape and just write on it with a marker. I wrote on this one with a slick pen or a slick writer. You can get those pretty cheap at most craft stores. And I use tonight the Hello Pumpkin scrapbooking stamp set and the stitched borders stamp set. So those are the items that you need. You'll also need some sort of stencil with circles on it. So I used our brand new matte stencil film. It comes with 4 sheets, and I've made lots of stencils out of just 1 sheet already. And you can cut this easily on the Cricut. There's actually a setting and design space called stencil film, and it cuts it perfectly, and it only has to do 1 pass through. It doesn't have to cut it twice. I cut multiple sizes. So I did a 1 1/4, 1 inch, a 3/4, a 1/2 inch, and a 1/4. So now you have those sizes on some sort of stencil film or a real thin cardstock, something where it'll be easy to stencil on your card. So let's get started. I want to show you how to make this background. And you can really tailor this for any kind of color, any kind of, I guess any kind of theme, really. I wanted to do Halloween because, of course, we are approaching Halloween very quickly. So I'm going to put that to the side, and I'm going to pull out a new White Daisy background piece. Now this is going to measure 3 3/4 by 5 inches. Okay, so I'm going to leave a little bit more of a border around the edge of my card. Hey, Amy. And what we're going to do is we're going to start with our lightest color. So out of the colors that I did the bokeh with, I have the Nectarine, the Willow, the Black, and the Lagoon. So the lightest color I started with was the Nectarine. So I'm going to move some of this off to the side here. I'm going to open that up. I'm going to grab the dauber that I need. And basically what you're going to do is you're going to pool your color in a few different spots. There's no rhyme or reason. There's not a set number of times. I happen to do 4 or 5 of each color, but it depends how many colors you have, how big of a spot you want, how big of a piece you're working with. So really you just play with it. So you're going to sponge your dauber in here, and then you're going to very lightly go in and swirl that color around. Now my daubers have been highly used, so they do have a little bit of fraying on there, which does translate. It's not a real smooth application of color, but for me I didn't care that much. I thought it was fine. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to smooth that color out so it fades a little bit on the edges. Now you can make big dots, little dots, big pools, little pools. I'm going to go ahead and zoom you in a little bit more here. Hopefully you'll be able to see this a little bit better. The more times you go over it, the darker it's going to be. So let me just make sure that you guys can see what I'm doing all right. So I'm going to start with those 4. I can always go back in and add more color later. Now I'm going to come in with the willow. You could do the lagoon next. They're about the same. And basically this is so that as I'm working with my daubers, my ink that I'm picking up from the other colors isn't going to stain my pad too bad. Okay, so I'm going to go in, kind of go in between colors a little bit. Again, you just play with it. It doesn't really matter. Each one that you do is going to be a little different. You'll find you might want to blend it more or less.
Mommy.
I have a stool in here for you, bud. I have a stool in here. You can go put that one back. Look, I have one right here. Here's my little helper for the evening. We keep things candid here at the McQuiston household. You never know what's going to happen over here.
Right there.
No, there's not a lot of room right there, bud. Why don't you just leave it right here? Okay, put it right there then.
Ow.
Is that pretty cool?
Yeah. No, I do my best.
Okay, you go do your arts and crafts. All right. And again, it kind of just depends how much or how little. You could do as many spots as you want. You could make really big pools, little pools, whatever you would like. Let's see, I do one in this corner over here. And I'm going to leave some gaps in between for the black, because I don't want the black to be really dominant. I want it to just kind of highlight the background. So as I'm filling these in, I can, like I said, I can go back in and add some more orange, make my orange bigger, my green, my willow. Whatever I feel I need a little bit more or less of. But to me that looks pretty good. So I'm going to go ahead and leave that. So you're probably thinking, well, that's not looking like much yet. And it doesn't. It kind of looks like a mess at first. Now I'm going to go back in with black, or start with black, I should say, not back in. And I'm going to fill in the little white spaces. You better leave those alone, please. Those aren't toys or crafts. That's for Mommy's camera. You have crafts. Or you can go downstairs and watch hockey with Daddy too. Or ask for another cookie too. Ghost cookies are done.
I want some more.
Go ask Daddy.
I want some more cookies.
Now the black I'm not making overly dark. Again, I don't want it to take away from my paper, my other colors. But these are the color combos found in the new Hello Pumpkin paper that's in the idea book. I'm going to add a little bit more green over here, I think. So I just took that palette and took the inks from that palette and decided to use that as my background. And I'm just going back in and I'm just going to blend against the black a little bit. So they're a little more muddled, a little more filled in. So you can kind of start to see the kind of translucent blended. Good, Amy, you should try it. It's okay to be out of your comfort zone. It's fun. And you can try this on a little piece. You don't have to do a great big background. That's why cards are kind of nice for that. But yeah, you should try it because it's really fun and it's super easy. I whipped this up today really fast. So now I'm going to show you how to get the bokeh effect. And that's those little white kind of dots or
Mommy,
orbs, if you will.
cookie.
Well, you have to go downstairs to get one. Daddy's downstairs.
Daddy not downstairs.
Yes, he's downstairs. I promise.
I don't see him.
Well, you got to go downstairs. So now I'm going to use the stencil that I talked about with my different size circles already cut on there. So I just did this on the Cricut. You could use thin cuts. You could use punches. I don't know how they would work on the stencil film, but you, like I said, you could use a thin piece of paper too. So I'm going to start with my biggest 1 1/4 circle, and I'm just going to start up here kind of in the corner. And now I'm going to hold it down fairly well. I'm going to go ahead and ink up my white daisy, and I'm going to go in and swirl it so that it kind of spreads that white daisy pigment ink out. So now we're working with pigment ink, which is like paint. Okay, it's thicker and it's not going to dry. And you can see it kind of goes on more white, and now it's going to dry a little bit more translucent depending how thick I put it on.
Mommy?
Yeah, bud.
You want to come down there?
I will in a little bit. So I'm just going to add a few bigger circles at first, and then I can fill in with some of my smaller circles. So hopefully you can kind of see that starting to take shape.
Mommy, Mommy, come down there.
I will in a minute, buddy. Hold on, please. Now I'm going to do my 3/4 circle, and I'm going to put those kind of right up against the bigger circles that I just did. And I want them to touch. Okay, go into the potty and unzip your jammies. Stand on your stool. Okay? Sorry guys, we're just keeping it real over here. Oh gosh, gotta love it, right? Can you get it, bud? Did you get it? Okay. All right, so now I'm gonna go in with my 1-inch circle and kind of fill in between here. Again, there's no magic number. This one I ended up doing just a whole bunch all over. It kind of just depends what kind of look you want. If you want it more spaced out, you can space them out. If you want them to fill your background, you can fill your background. And let's say I'm doing this and it starts to dry and I want some of the orbs or the circles to be darker, I can just put my stencil back over there and add more pigment to deepen that white color. All right, so my 1-inch circle here, let's see, I'm going to do one up here, I think. Again, there's no real method to it. You kind of just play. All right, now I'm going to go back to my 3/4 circle, and I'm going to add one over here on the side. And then I'm going to go to my littlest circle, and I'm going to start kind of adding those here and there, because those are kind of fun. They pop a little bit more. And these I like to make a little bit darker, a little bit brighter, because I want them to be kind of more at the front. Hey Ian, if you're really watching this video, Callum's in the bathroom going to the potty, so you might have to come up. Oh gosh. Nothing like joining me for a live video, right guys? All right, let's see. Let's do another little one up here. Okay. Now I'm really starting to like that. Hopefully you can kind of see it a little bit. I still have some spaces to fill, and I could easily fill those with some more big circles, little circles, as many as I want. I can overlap more. Just depends how blended I want the background to look too. So now I can add some of these 1/2-inch circles. I haven't done those yet. So I'm going to connect these two down here. Yeah, bud. Okay, I will in just a second. Okay. Let's see. I'm coming, bud. Hold on. Almost. Alright, so that kind of gives you an idea, at least. I used all the sizes on my stencil. Now I have a little bit of dye ink that's transferred off, so I'm just going to take a baby wipe and just very lightly wipe off the top part of my ink pad, just to get a little bit of that dye ink off of there. It's not going to be perfect, but it'll help. And then you can always add more re-inker over there, and it's not going to hurt your ink pad at all. Okay. So now to assemble the rest of the card. Now, because it's pigment ink, the paint is actually still really wet on the stencil. So I can just run this under water. I could use a baby wipe on it and clean it all up so that it doesn't get too stiff when it dries, because it'll dry like paint. So to complete the rest of the card, what I did is I took that Hello Pumpkin scrapbooking stamp set, and I took some scrap paper on white daisy, and just with black ink I stamped the little ghost, and I stamped the Get Your Spook On. And I don't know about you guys, but when I see that, I can't help but say it with a Missy Elliott tone. So I hope you understand what I'm referring to there. I also took this cute little spider web, and I did second generation pewter and stamped it kind of in the corners of that title. Give it a little more interest. I'll fussy cut those out. And then I took the Hello Pumpkin paper. I took the star paper and this kind of diamond crosshatch paper. And I go ahead and cut those into half-inch strips. Did you help him, E?
Good job, buddy.
Thank you. And I'm going to just overlap them so that the stars only shows about 1/4 inch, and the crosshatch is going to show the whole 1/2 inch. Okay, and then I used my mini stapler and some whisper twine, and I just doubled up the whisper twine, wrapped it around this piece once it was fairly dry, and stapled it so it was nice and taut, and then made my bow. I inked the edges with black. And then I used the pewter, just straight first generation pewter, and the stitched background set. I used this guy right here. And I went around the outside of my card base with that, with the pewter. And then I added foam tape, and I took the larger of the spider webs and stamped it in black kind of behind my ghost, because I thought that looked kind of cool. Now I could add maybe some star embellishments or gems or something else to kind of make this pop, but I really liked it even just as is. So that's how I did this card. It came together really, really quickly. Once you have your background done, the rest of it is really quite easy. I just take my strips, added adhesive on the back, laid it across here, and then cut them and trimmed them down. So that's how I did mine. Super fast. Like I said, this will dry over time. You could kind of zap it with a heat gun. You could take your stencil and go back in there if you want and deepen some of the ones that have dried a little bit more and make it a little more white, make it stand out a little bit more. One of the other things I want to try is with the Christmas stamp sets that are coming out. I want to do more of a midnight sky and then do the bokeh effect on the midnight sky. I think that would be fun, and then do the manger scene on that. So once I get that stamp set, I will post a picture of that project with this effect on that card. So I think that'll be cool. So that's it. That's all I did, you guys. It was super fast, super easy. You can get all of the supplies on my website, candidcrafter.ctmh.com. If you have any questions, if you need anything as far as supplies or clarification, or shoot, just even asking if my 3-year-old made it to the bathroom okay, just message me or comment and I will get back to you guys. You're very welcome, Kim and Amy. I'm glad you guys were able to join me. Have a very happy Halloween, and I will see you guys very soon. All right, bye.